Neri, share. Yeah, good man. Good. It's been obviously it's crazy busy, but good. Good. Thank you. I know, right? No, Neri, I haven't moved since December. Nah, nah, not at all. Yeah, no, been to Hawaii in December, so maybe but that was a while back, That was mid. It feels recent because Q1 has gone like 2 minutes, you know. Just shush. Yeah, no, no, we do, we absolutely do. Cool. Cool. Hey. I can give it a couple of minutes if you want. It's up to you. I mean, I don't mind either way.
Hi, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, good, good. Just a bit busy, which is good. It's good, but yeah, just cleaning up our year end stuff to start again. I know, I know.
Yeah, sounds good. Nice to meet you,
Yeah,
Susan.
good to meet you. Okay. Well, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Oh, okay, that sounds interesting. Yeah. Thanks, Anton. My name's Susan Harkins. I head up the innovation and entrepreneurship team that sits within the South of Scotland enterprise. We focus very much on coaching for businesses and individuals, helping them to get started and then to grow their business, and with a focus on innovation. South of Scotland enterprise is a large landmass with lots of great opportunities, which sits squashed between central belt of Scotland and the English border. So we're a rural area, so that comes with its challenges, but also its opportunities. Thank you. I'm glad to be here today.
Thanks, Anton. Thanks, Susan. I'm Visar. I'm one of the founders of a marketing agency called Waste. We specialize in video games marketing, working with some of the biggest video games companies in the world, Activision, EA, Supercell, and a bunch of others. Team is roughly about 90 people, fluctuates, based out of London, where's our headquarters. And we've got a team, an office in Tokyo and in Manila. And we do everything from management strategy, creative, and production. So very happy to be here. I'm looking forward to seeing how we can add some value, how we can answer some questions. Sure, I don't mind. I think a big do would be definitely seek mentors and people that have been there and done it. People are very, usually willing to help newcomers into the industry, entrepreneurs, and people coming up with new ideas. It's quite exciting. It's interesting, and there's quite a lot of people with a lot of good ideas and a lot of knowledge to give. So definitely seek out mentorship, definitely seek out advice for the stuff that you're doing, which can really help you avoid making some mistakes, and it can help you make up your mind as to what you should be focusing on. A big don't would be don't try and do too much at the same time. And I definitely made that mistake a bunch of times. I mean, if you do, because that's a bit of a niche that a lot of entrepreneurs have. We try and do everything at the same time. If you want to really, if you think that you've got too many good ideas, at the very least, find a way to test them out. And in this day and age, it's not massively difficult to test how viable an idea is, and if there's a market for it or not. using paid ads, using all sorts of different methods. But yeah, that'd be something that comes to mind now.
Yeah, so really just I'll try and do slightly different from what Viscar has been saying, just to give a bit more variety. So I would say always know who your customers are and your product market fit. So for me, it's really, really important. What I see a lot of is people coming up with great ideas and they are fabulous, and they start to work on that and nobody wants to buy their product or their service. So it's really important to test out first, and even if it's just through some friends, you can do lots of great stuff on the internet as well, just to test out who would be interested in buying your product, because without customers you don't have a business. So I think that's really important, to get that understanding. And one of the big things that I'm seeing more and more of is, particularly around founders, is that they start to change their model or their business idea to access funding, and it takes them away from that original idea that they had. So they're not really shaping their business due to customer feedback, but more so they can access that early stage funding. And I think that's a mistake that some people make. So I think if you've got all the evidence, so what I think I'm saying is gather the evidence from customers, from potential customers, as much as you can, test it out, and that will help you and move forward with your business.
Well, that is some amazing stuff, and thank you very much to both of you. Right, you. A quick reset of the conversation. I'll put a question that was sent in to us in the chat, and I'll read it out loud in a minute for the live streams. But if Susan and Visar would like to have a look at it in the meantime, please feel free to do so. So just a quick reminder to everyone, this is Startup Growth Q&A. It's our 139th session. We do this to help founders grow your business, hopefully from zero to hero. The idea is that you can ask us any questions you have on how to grow your business, whether that's user, vendor, partner, or client acquisition, maybe growth hacks, go-to-market partnerships, or just generic sales, marketing, branding, advertising, and all that jazz. There are no wrong questions, and there's no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. On the other hand, if you do want to ask us these questions, please be aware that if you're tuning in via the live streams, we are unfortunately unable to monitor your questions there live. So you would need to join us live and on audio here on Microsoft Teams. The way to do that is either to click on those links that I've put on the live streams, or simply go to our website, startup-to-scaleup.club, where you'll find today's session, which is Startup Growth Q&A 139. You click join. It's a quick registration. You'll get an email with a link, and that link will then bring you here to us. For those of you that will make it on to the call here on Microsoft Teams, it's audio only, and all you need to do is simply type your question in the chat, and then I will give you the floor to ask our panelists. But for now, let's read through this question that was sent to us. And actually, we're going to go to Susan with this first, since they're based in Edinburgh. So this is a sustainability tech, Susan. They're in Edinburgh. She says they're seed stage. And then she says, problem. I'm assuming that's the problem they're trying to solve with this. So a mobile app that helps users locate sustainable food options in their area. The challenge they're having is encouraging user adoption and ensuring a robust database of food options. The question I have, she says, is that our app helps users find sustainable food options nearby, but user adoption has been slower than expected. What specific marketing tactics should we employ to raise awareness and drive downloads? How can we ensure that our database remains comprehensive and accurate whilst encouraging local businesses to participate. Now, just before I give this to Susan, one remark that I'd like to make is I see on your LinkedIn that it says, so you've got another, I'm assuming your day job, that you have that. And I know sometimes that is difficult because, you know, we all need to put food on the table. But the idea is that you at least need to have a big enough footprint online. So if you can't do that yourself, maybe find ways to have, because I can't even see here, you know, if you've got any co-founders or anybody else working for you, but you need to have a presence out there basically. And I hope you at least have a landing page that is, you know, getting people. Actually would have been nice if you were here live, but I get it why, you know, since you have on your LinkedIn, you still have another company that you're working for now. So you're probably trying to guard yourself on that. But just bear that in mind. But anyway, let's go to the experts first, and then I'll see if I can come up with anything to add. Susan, what would you do here?
Yeah, so it's quite a big question. So I'll try and we've got Scar on the line, so he's a marketing expert. So I'll just give my kind of take on it. Again, it goes back to who is your target market? So who is it you're speaking to? So I think Anton says quite a, you know, his words were really quite relevant as well, in the sense that it's not an easy task. You've got to put a lot of work into that. If you're the only person working on it, then you're going to it's going to be a lot for you if you're working at the same time. Although I understand that it's not always easy, you know, to juggle all this around. So first of all, find out, you know, who's downloading. The first is, if you have some data, who's interested in your product, who's already, you know, what's your demographics, who are you trying to target, and then really there's no easy way of doing this. It's probably trying to work out the people that are using it already, where are they finding you, and then how do you then get that reach out further. It's quite a localized market that you're looking for. I suppose it's about trying to tap into some of the business networks as well, that are out there. So there's lots of stuff going on in Edinburgh. There's some really good marketing sessions and, you know, things around social media that are run by the local business gateway. So it's probably worth checking out the business gateway. They sit within the local authority. They will have a lot of initiatives and a lot of good tips and to tap into around marketing. So I would certainly try and work out who your target demographic is, get your messaging right around that. And then the other thing is just hard work, getting the message out there about your app, about what it's trying to do. It sounds to me like there's a really good circular economy, you know, sustainability in terms of food waste messaging. So, you know, can you find other businesses that might be able to promote your app because they're within a similar space? I think is what I'd be trying to do. There is no easy answer. It's really about hard work. It's about trying to understand your market really clearly and get that marketing so that they're listening to you, trying to get into networks within that food sustainability as well. There might be opportunities there for you, or just in general. Edinburgh will have quite a lot of networks, whether it's, you know, Chamber of Commerce, local maybe business gateway networks, as I said as well, and then linking into your local business gateway. I don't know if you're part of TechScaler. So in Edinburgh, so I'm getting a little bit very localized here, regionalized, but Edinburgh, the TechScaler program, so they're based in just in the West End of Edinburgh. It's a free service to access, with lots of techies, lots of founders, lots of great networks, lots of that you could tap into as well. If you don't have that, I'm happy to. I'll look at the link while we're speaking. I'll pop that link into the messaging as well. So that's another place that I would certainly look at as well. Build your network, learn from other founders who've already been there and done it, and understand, who your customers are and how you can reach them a bit further.
That's brilliant. And Susan, if I may kindly ask, in terms of where to post that link of TechScaler or anybody else that you can think of that she might be able to approach. If you can do that on LinkedIn instead, because I'm not sure people, although I've set the settings so that people can access the chat here even when on the recording, but I have a feeling people aren't doing that. So if you don't mind to do it, I've tagged all of you on the live stream on LinkedIn, so you'll see the last tag you got from us. If you don't mind doing it there, I'd really appreciate that, because then it's more accessible to people.
Yep, I will do. Thanks.
That's brilliant. Visar, what would you do here?
Yeah, so that's great advice from Susan. I wouldn't have much to add on that side, but one thing maybe, if I just zoom out a little bit, my suggestion would be to really drill into understanding the problem that you're trying to solve. Just to add and build on what Susan said, once you understand what is the problem that you're trying to solve, if something like what you're planning to build doesn't exist, and who your audience is, then maybe a good thing to think about is also like, what is the best way, what is the best medium to reach them? Maybe it's an app. Obviously, with apps, there's mobile apps, there's a bit of an issue with discoverability. The reality is that one of the easiest, quickest way to get that reach is via paid ads, which means that when you do a raise, you're going to need to take that into account. On top of that, once you get your users to download the app, then you're going to need to make sure that they're engaged, which means that you're going to need to have quite a lot of content in there. Perhaps there's other ways of reaching that particular audience. Maybe it's a website, maybe it's a TikTok account or an Instagram account, maybe it's YouTube. I don't know. All I'm saying is maybe a good idea would be really drill into the problem, define that really clearly, then understand who the audience is, understand who the people that are going to feature their products and the stuff that they do in there are, and then work out the best medium to sort of get those people together.
Well, that's some brilliant stuff from both of you, and I really appreciate that. Again, without having you here, it's not as easy for us to give you the best answers, I guess. But what I would do here, especially in terms of that marketing, just to pick a little bit on what Visar mentioned, content marketing can be quite good for what you have. If you haven't got the money to do targeted adverts, then maybe start creating content. So you've got things like here on TikTok, Instagram. You could probably even use Facebook and Facebook groups to start kind of raising awareness. Maybe you start giving some tips, or maybe you can do sort of TikTok and Instagram lives with somebody who is a specialist in that area. And I would definitely and strongly advise you start with your local area. Actually, not even the whole of Edinburgh, maybe just find a part of Edinburgh that you think would be best to start testing this. And the one thing, and this isn't quite marketing, because this is more like go-to-market partnerships, but one thing that could start driving some growth in terms of those downloads is to go to some vendors. I don't know, just for argument's sake, maybe have some of those vendors start recommending it to their users, even if it's like a Tesco, let alone somebody else that might do more sustainable food programs. But that's easier said than done, I know, because when you are a new up and coming company and you don't have the funding or the reputation, let's say, that's not always easy, and I get that. But it strikes me that you could do quite well with some kind of partnerships, and that's what I would focus on. And if you want any more detail, please feel free to join us live next time so that we can probably get to the bottom of it in a kind of more efficient way, if that makes sense. Right here, we now have only 35 minutes to go. This is Startup Growth Q&A. It's our 139th session. We're here to help you grow your business from zero to hero and answer any questions you may have from user, vendor, client, partner acquisition, growth hacks, go-to-market, or generic sales, marketing, advertising, and branding. If you're tuning in via the live streams, please remember that we are unable to monitor your questions there. And there's no point in you trying to send me any questions. On the other hand, if you are if you do want to ask us questions, then you need to join us here on Microsoft Teams and do that live. The way to do that is either to click on the links that I've posted on those live streams, or if not, then simply go to our website, startup2scaleup.club, where you'll be able to find today's session, which is Startup Growth 139. You then click join. It's a quick registration. That brings you onto our website. Sorry, that brings you onto our call here through a link that you'll get to your email. And then when you're here, simply type your question on growth in the chat. I'll then give you the mic and you'll then be able to ask our panelists. And now I'll read another question that I've put in the chat. I'll read it out loud for the live streams, and Visar and Susan, you can read it here yourselves. But so this is from a prop tech for short-term rental hosts near Manchester. They're pre-seed. The situation is poor performance in attracting host sign-ups. The question they have is, our prop tech platform for short-term rental hosts isn't performing well in paid campaigns with low click-through and sign-up rates. What ad strategies, or is it, I just lost it, such as offering platform exclusive host benefits, using a real host success stories in video ads, and focusing on hyper-localized campaigns targeting regional markets, could dramatically improve our sign-up conversion? Right, let's start with Visar on this, and then we'll go on to Susan. What would you do in this case, Visar?
That's a good one. I'm just reading the question. It's an interesting one, right? Whenever you've got a situation like this, I guess the question that you probably need to ask yourself is it the ads that aren't working, or is it the business proposition that maybe is not defined enough? And I'm not sure, because obviously, as you said, Anton, it's quite difficult when we don't have people here and we can ask them questions and we can drill into the details of what they've got and what they're trying to achieve. A question that I would always ask people is, how much testing are you doing? You know, how much ad testing are you doing? Are you really like sort of doing best practice when it comes to your ad campaigns? And if you're testing, unless you're testing a lot, then you're probably not doing enough. So I would double, triple, quadruple, 5x that maybe. You know, I'm not saying to spend 5x the money. I'm saying like sort of just really increase your intensity of ads and do more testing to find out what works, and then double down on that once you sort of find that winning formula. What we tend to find is that if there's enough testing that's being conducted, and it is you're unable to get that winning combo, that winning like sort of ad, that winning campaign, that winning idea that works for a period of time and really delivers result, then it's maybe you need to shift your focus into the business and what you're offering. How competitive are you? Are you tackling a problem? What is the competitive landscape look like? What does your proposition look like? And the business side of it. So I think that's all I would say. Really increase your testing of ads and double down on the stuff that works. And if you can't get there after a meaningful try, then maybe it's time to look at the business and your proposition now, and what you've built. I would say, and whether that maybe needs a little bit of improvement or maybe a different way to approach it. That's all I would say from my side.
Thank you very much, Visar. That's brilliant. Susan, what would you do here?
No, I don't actually think I've got that much more to add to Viscar's comments. I think that was probably spot on. I don't really think there's much else that I can add. I mean, I would go back to just saying that whole thing around, that the whole thing about low click through and sign up rates. I think maybe Viscar alluded to this, but who again, who is it that you're trying to target? Is it the right messaging? Is that the right method or channel for promotion? Is there other channels you should be looking at? Would understand why there's poor click up rates, I suppose, would be what I would add on to that.
Hey, thank you very much for that, Susan. I mean, in terms of my quick 2 pence, again, without sounding like a bleeding broken records, please join us live, because if we have you here, it's easier for us to get to the bottom of things. But in terms of those click-through rates, so Visar touched a really good point there in terms of the actual offering itself may be the problem rather than the campaigns. But then on the other hand, have you done these campaigns yourself? Are you competent enough to do this well? So you might want to figure out a way to hire somebody as a fractional, maybe just a one-off, or maybe, I don't know, 1 day per month or whatever there may be, someone who's a professional and has got, the track record to prove. And two, I think Visar touched a little bit on this, but if you haven't already done it, I would try some A/B testing in terms of try a couple of what do you call them? A couple of different ads or different techniques and see which one works better. And the thing is, I don't know how much of that you've done, but you can't expect miracles either, right? So maybe you just need to give it a bit of time. Now we've got Pranav, who's put a question in the chat. I've given you the mic, Pranav. So please introduce yourself and then fire away with your question, buddy.
Hello team, I am Pranav Joshi, the founder and CEO at UDGM. So we are creating the AI-powered, no-cheat leadership hiring platform, and where we will be collaborating with the freelance interviewers for taking the both core skill rounds and the soft skill rounds. These freelance interviewers would be from the top leading giants. From if suppose we are hiring for the tech role of the client, then Fang. If consulting role, then McKinsey, etc. And we are trying to solve the biggest problem in leadership hiring, reducing the time to weeks instead of months, as it takes more time for closing a leadership role. So yeah, that is about Utgam. The current question that I have related to it is that we are in the pre-seed phase as of now, and actually we are figuring out that how to create the unique unit economics. As in unit economics, I mean that what should be, shall we go for the subscription models, or while suppose we have the candidates, so when we would be paying the freelance interviewers, shall we pay them when a role is closed or after each interview that they take? Yeah, so that is a sort of a question in mind.
Thank you very much, Pranav. Just to clarify this, so you say AI-powered fraud-proof leadership hiring. What does that mean? Does that mean that you check that the businesses they say they've been in are true, or can you elaborate on that a little bit, please?
Yeah, sure. Let me elaborate on that. As in these days, many candidates, what did they do? They use the AI bots or AI agents during the interviews, which are invisible to the interviewer. Like one of the leading
I
or
see.
emerging
I see. I
yeah,
see.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Now I get it. Sorry. All right. Yep. There's that. Okay. There's quite a few AI programs like that. Not necessarily for interviewing, although there are those as well, but most of them are for other stuff. Okay. Now I hear. Okay. So what you're saying is, what should be your monetization route? Is it subscription or is it some other model? Is that right? Is that the core of the question?
absolutely.
Okay, that's a very good point. Okay, you know what? I'm going to pass you on to my panelists first, and then I'll see what else can I add. Who wants to go first? I think last time we had Visar, so Susan, the floor is yours.
Hi, thanks, Anton. I mean, I've jotted down. I think I've got an understanding of what you're trying to do, which is basically is it like an online recruitment company? Is that I think that's what I was getting out of it.
Indeed. When interviewing people, there are
Okay.
candidates out there that use AI agents and models and programs to answer questions for them and all that stuff, which the person on the other side of the screen, they can't see. So what I'm assuming Pranav has done here is some kind of AI agent which will pick out that this is likely to be AI sort of powered, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
makes absolute
absolutely.
sense.
And yeah, and apart from that, we would be having the human interviewers, which will be global experts. Like suppose we are hiring for a tech role or director of technology for the client, then both the core skill interviewer and the soft skill interviewer would be from the global giant of tech like Sang. If it is a consulting role, then McKinsey, etc. These would be the interviewers.
I see. So you're also going to have the person doing the interviews then, Pranav?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's just
okay.
Just
go ahead, Susan.
Yeah. So I just wanted to sort of clarify that. So, so the sort of traditional sort of I suppose for recruitment is based on a fee basis when you get the person placed into the company. And that involves a huge amount of work, I suppose, on your part. And then if the candidate isn't picked, you don't get a fee. So ultimately, that is risky, particularly for startup business, because you put a lot of work in to getting someone placed, particularly if you're talking about consultants, etc. I know this because I know a couple of people in the recruitment industry. So normally the fee comes once someone is placed in the role. So if you, I suppose, could get a subscription up and running, that would be great. I think that would be quite difficult for a new company. So my feeling would be that you could maybe try and negotiate well, I don't think you can. I think in terms of recruitment, it tends to be that you're doing all the upfront work, and then hopefully you have got the best client that gets that role, and then you'll get your fee. I don't think as a new company you would be able to negotiate any other terms. I think it'd be really difficult to get a subscription model up and running for the recruitment side. But what I am thinking is that if you have got a tool that is a cyber security tool that can fix that problem that you're talking about, then that might be the way to get customers to use that tool. And then as you build up your consultancy on the interviewing, you're making an income from the tool and being used separately, and then your interviewing is slightly another. It doesn't all come together. I think might be the way that I would look at it. Again, it's your business; it's up to you. But my advice might be to look at that cybersecurity consultant tool, build up that, generating income from that, and that could be through companies adopting that, and then the interviewing side of it, possibly do that separately, because if you do it together, I think you would find it really difficult to get money up front or get any income generated from that until people are actually in post, if that makes sense. That to me is certainly in the UK, that's the model for recruitment companies. It may be different in other globally. I'm just talking about the UK here. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, thank you,
Visar,
Susan.
what would you do here?
I don't have a huge amount to add. To be honest, it does feel Pranav, that this is a pricing strategy, obviously type question. I think you have to work out what your cost base is to start with before you work out the value that you bring, and then determine a price. And I do think you need to do some modeling. You need to extrapolate that over a period of time, over a year, maybe a couple of years, but then play around the scenarios to sort of see, what is this actually going to cost you in order to be able to work out what kind of price you need to justify to hit the margins that you're trying to achieve, and then basically work from there, and then work out what kind of value will your customers put on the service that you're offering, at a very sort of high level. But it's not really my area, so I wouldn't be able to comment much more than that, apart from those basics. And obviously Susan gave a much better answer.
That's all right. Thank you very much, Visar. Pranav, I've been in recruitment for a very long time. And most of my work, at least in the last 10, 15 years, has been involved with something to do with recruitment, basically. So similar to what Susan said, my advice would be to focus on the tool that you have rather than the people. Now, it depends what your budget is. Do you want to give us an idea how many people and how much money do you have to play here with? Or is it a case where you really need to start earning some money from the agents you've built?
So at the moment, we haven't raised any funds, and we are looking forward to raise the pre-seed funds, and looking forward with the scenario. So I have a CTO. He's working at Google as a SD3, and he has been developing the MVP. So we are focusing that the MVP would be developed in the next 2 months.
I
So
hear.
yeah, we can.
I hear.
Yeah, yeah,
So you need to get started on earning money. Okay, I get it. Right. So
yeah,
here you go.
yeah.
Just based on what I'm kind of taking this the same or similar route to Susan. Forget about doing interviews. Forget about doing anything. Right. I mean, you can have people on the back end, and you can tell them, look, we also have live interviewers that will monitor this. You can say that, but what you really want to sell, it's a you want to sell the model where people pay. You give them two opportunities. This is what I would do. You give them a license, so per user, or you give them per interview. What I would do here, I would go to a large enough company, but one that isn't highly technical in terms of expertise. So, and I wouldn't focus this simply on leadership hiring. I would go at all kinds of hires, but the ones that are sort of that are known for people to have used AI, whether it's coding, whether it's certain technical roles rather than for technical questions, I mean, in interviews, rather than, let's say, just a salesperson. And I would go out there and offer, because what you want to do at this point in time, Pranav, and I know you need the money because it's early stage, but what you really want to do is you want to get market validation. So you want to find ways to get as many people to use it. And actually, I would go even one step further, and I know this isn't maybe what you exactly want to hear, but I would actually make a list of certain companies, call them up and say, look, this is what we're working on. I would love to pick your brains on that. What is that would be important to you for us to include in this? So just for argument's sake, for example, I've worked here in the UK, especially with the assessment side of things. So I've been very heavily involved in the interviews with the likes of London Transport, with some very large government organizations and other public sector companies. And it's quite hard to monitor people, and especially if they're doing video interviews. So my advice would be to go to somebody like that and say, reach out to the HR director and say, this is what we have, but I'd love to pick your brain. So don't go to them, can I sell this to you? But you reach out, let's say via LinkedIn, and you say, hi, Susan, I'm working on this kind of solution, and I'd love to pick your brains on what features and what it needs to have, since you are in that field already. And here's what happens. Susan will very likely, obviously you've got to reach out to a lot of people in order to get a few to come back and say yes. But Susan is very likely to give you some very good tips on what is important for a company like hers. Guess what happens? After a couple of weeks, you can go back to Susan, because then it's not a sales call. It's not a cold call anymore, and say, Susan, I spoke with you a few weeks or a few months ago about what we were building, and we have actually built that with you in mind. And I would love you to give this a try in your business. Even if you give them a freemium model, whether it's to test it for a week or a month, or maybe test it for a certain number of interviews, what you want to aim here, Pranav, is to have a product that is so good that it will create more problems for Susan to then stop using it than to not use it. So you need to think of that simplicity and kind of user design as well. Personally, I think that could really help, and I would definitely not think about, kind of do, because when you're saying doing interviews, now you become an agency, and then you have to work on success rates and all that. No, you are somebody who's built this, and you can say to them, look, we also have people that will monitor this if you want to, online, to have a real person, but you want to sell this product, and my advice would be to sell this on a user base. So for 100 interviews, I don't know, you get, for argument's sake, you need to pay $10. For 1,000 interviews, you need to pay $100, and so on. That's what I would focus on. But I would definitely make a list of, I don't know, a couple of hundred people, HR directors in companies that are big enough, that have enough hires for a bit technical, not necessarily technology or engineering or whatever, but that have technical questions that people would most likely be using an AI to help them. Does that make sense, Pranav?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. Actually, the second question, like you have answered, was there in my mind as well, that whether we should be focusing on leadership hiring or general hiring, because many clients or firms, they have a resistant view related to leadership hiring, because they feel that the leadership hiring they want to do on their own itself and not in like outsource it.
Exactly. And the thing is, when you're doing leadership, you encounter a few challenges here. Number one, you don't have enough people, right? So in a leadership role, there's only so many interviews that they do. So why would they want to pay the money to you? That's number one. Number two, um, I'll be honest with you, not many leadership roles are people that will use AIs for fraud. Yes, there are those, okay, but it's very few. And the thing is, if I'm hiring a VP of engineering, it's easier for me to see if this person is a fraudster and is trying to make up things, rather than somebody who is at a much lower rank. So you want to go for volume, because that's where your money is. When you have a labor intensive business, then you go for niche, because you can charge more money. But when you are automating this like you are, you need to go for numbers, for very high numbers. And those are literally, I would go for roles from entry throughout, but roles that are technical. So that's the important part. And you can, I don't know, if you can have features that are not, don't only pick up the technical, but pick up other stuff as well, then yeah, why not? Which I don't think it should be difficult. But my sales point would be mainly for the people that need a technical know-how or background. And I would go throughout the roles, carpet bombing. That's what I would do, Pranav.
Understood, understood. Thank you so much.
Very welcome, and best of luck with this. I hope it goes well. We now have only 10 minutes to go, and I think it's time to answer one more question that was sent in to us. Okay, so this is a cyber tech in Liverpool. They're at seed stage. Okay, so we're a cybersecurity consulting firm helping businesses identify vulnerabilities. The challenge we have is educating potential clients on the necessity of regular cybersecurity assessments. Question is that we provide cybersecurity consulting services, but many businesses don't see the need for regular assessments. what messaging should we use to highlight the risks of not being proactive? Should we offer free initial assessments or workshops to educate prospects and convert them into paying clients? That's a very good one. I actually have something that has worked recently really well, but let me go to my panelists first. So let's go to Visar and then Susan. Visar, what would you do here with these people if you were them?
Yeah, nice one. Great sector. Great, huge growth. Very, very good. Well, I mean, the question, the way how it's framed, I guess it says educating potential clients. So I assume it's a case of, first of all, bringing those clients in. So the first part would be bringing the customers in, and that would be B2B in an area where there's a huge amount of risk, but as you sort of say, there's a bit of a need for education. A steady churn of content, high quality content, like thought leadership, speaking at events, building a brand, being the experts, the go-to people for anything to do with your particular part of area of cybersecurity that you're offering. Again, there's not a huge amount of detail, but that would be a good way to sort of really build your brand and ensure a steady stream of people coming to you and asking for help with the cybersecurity challenges. And then once you've built that trust, once you've done a few projects with them and you've built a relationship, you've built that trust, then messaging becomes a little bit clearer, because you'll have, I suppose, the space and the trust and the time to be able to explain the risks associated with not doing this regularly. So I think it's a case of, if you're trying to use that messaging to bring the people in, then that is an entirely different question. But once you bring clients in, once you build that rapport, it becomes infinitely easier to drill into the details of the importance of cybersecurity and staying up to date, especially with all the changes in AI, with all the things that are coming as part of like sort of what AI can do these days. So yeah, I think it's a great industry, and that's, if I understand the challenge correctly, that's how I would sort of split and look at these two things kind of a little bit separately and tackle them both individually a little bit.
Yeah, hey, thank you very much, Visar. Susan, what would you do here?
Yeah, I don't think there's much that I can add to that. I know from my experience, particularly in Scotland, that cybersecurity, while really important, and the work that you guys are doing is great, it's really challenging to sell to, particularly to small businesses. We have a lot of SMEs. So it's quite a challenge. And I think Viscar's right that it really is about just trying to find that messaging that, sometimes it's not cybersecurity, if it's marketing packaged up as something other than that, it or in a different way, it can sometimes attract smaller businesses to that. The only other additional thing I would say is building up your profile. Maybe there is, and again, I'm talking about the UK and Scotland, but there is quite a lot of public sector government agencies that run a lot around cybersecurity, and it might be worth trying to find out how you can get onto that procurement list, because that will raise your profile, delivering some workshops or training around cybersecurity, within the public sector. So there's quite a lot of stuff going on. So it would just be to try and find out how you could maybe get onto those frameworks, or how you could deliver some consultancy for the public sector around that. It's not for everybody, I understand that, but it's maybe another way of raising awareness of what you're doing and getting that kind of trusted background and build up that understanding as well.
Indeed. Thank you very much to both of you. Here's something that has happened to me lately. So about a year ago, somebody introduced a Polish chap who reached out to me, who was working on some cyber security stuff and wanted to know, if I knew people that I could introduce them to. It was mainly startups that they were thinking of going after, or VCs and that kind of stuff. So I sat down, had a few conversations. We tried a few things, and in the end, one of the things I asked was, what was there, apart from cybersecurity, what other industries they had the most connections and kind of backgrounds in. And he said, utilities, especially water. So I said, okay, is this the kind of stuff, I said, that you could use bots or you could use AI agents, which they just started surfacing, to go out there and test vulnerabilities of companies in mass, so not just one by one, but in mass, and then you reach out to those companies because you know these bots or agents have picked up vulnerabilities. And he said yes, and I said, how much would that cost you? You know, he looked into it and it wasn't too costly, neither it was too time consuming. So he tried that, and all it took literally was about just over 3 months for him to then be given an offer by a Canadian utilities company that deals mainly with water that he'd reached out to get business from. And they have now decided to buy the company. It's almost been finalized. And he's thinking of whether he wants to go and work from Goa or Brazil, because, you know, so for example, Visar is here, he knows that more often than not, when a company gets acquired, you don't just run away. You need to be there for a bit of time after that. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he told me that his plan was to stay for 1 to 2 years, but wants to work from overseas on this. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but my advice is, in terms of how to go out there, if you can find a way to automate almost an ethical hacking feature, and then you pick an industry that you can be really niche about, that you know about, and then you say to them, look, we've done some search or whatever you want to say, and we have identified that you have some vulnerabilities, and you show it to people. What he actually ended up doing, he ended up recording like a minute or 2 videos stating those vulnerabilities and sending that via LinkedIn to the directors of these companies that he reached out to. And literally in about 3 months, one of the companies said, look, we want to buy this of you and we want to use this in-house. And it was quite an interesting sale. It still hasn't been finalized, as you can understand. These things take time. I don't know how long it took for you, Visar, to fully finalize your acquisition, but normally these can take quite a bit of time. That's what I would do. Right, we now have 2 minutes to go. How about some parting words? Let's start with Susan, if that's okay, Visar, and then we go on to you. Susan, any parting words for our founders?
Yeah, I just think keep keeping up the good work. There's some really exciting ideas and concepts that are coming out of there, and we need you founders, entrepreneurs to drive forward business for lots of different reasons. So, you know, please keep doing it. I'm a great believer that you're the best placed people, those ideas and innovation, and it's just great to be part of it and inspired by all the great ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan. Visar?
Yeah, I always enjoy these sessions. It's just interesting to see what people come up with and what they're doing, and it's really exciting and it's interesting. There's no doubt that it gets really tough at times. A good friend of mine once sort of said, before we started the company, he said, when it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's absolutely terrible. So but it is a life we chose, right? And it is great that people do this. It's interesting. So yeah, as Susan said, keep on doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you very much to both of you. I really appreciate your time and wisdom today. Huge thanks to everyone else that joined. Please feel free to show your love to Visar and Susan and follow them on Facebook, on LinkedIn. And remember, they do this for free so that they don't have to do a lot of other stuff for free out there. So just bear that in mind. But on the other hand, a reminder to those of you that tuned in via the live streams, please remember that unfortunately we're unable to monitor your questions live. So next time, join us directly here and interactively on Microsoft Teams. It's audio only, which means there's flexibility and accessibility to join from anywhere you want. We currently run 6 regular events: Mondays Thailand, Tuesdays Product and Tech, Wednesdays, as you can see, today's growth, Thursdays fundraising, second Friday of the month it's legal, and third Friday of the month it's finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and you can RSVP via website. You can register to any future session via StartUp to ScaleUp.club. When you go there, just find which session you'd prefer to join. It's a quick registration, and then you get a link to your email. Once you're actually on our site, you might also want to join our WhatsApp community. And by the way, just a caveat that this is for UK startups. Only UK startups can join that WhatsApp community of founders, investors, and operators. And you won't only become a part of this community, but also you'll be in a good position to get alerts to all future events that we do via that community. And I guess as far as my parting words are concerned, just remember the startup journey can be both exciting but also quite challenging. So try to have some fun in the meantime, and be kind to yourself and everyone else for that matter too. Otherwise, have a great day. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for Startup Fundraising Q&A. We've got some amazing, at least 4 investors that will join us at 12 o'clock. Some amazing people who've got quite a background in investment and fundraising. So yeah, feel free to register for that via our site. And thank you. God bless. Bye-bye for now.